Like, you think that the people of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi government all share. Okay, so you also believe that the Chinese government and the Chinese people are exactly the same. It's just racism. I think it took me a second, because when people are going like, oh, you're doing something unethical, I'm like, oh, these must be ethical people, let me listen. And then you're like, oh no, you're just racist.
To your point, if you're rallying like the whole Me Too movement and women rights matters, and then you take the bag, oh, well, you don't stand for shit.
Yeah, no, it's just you. Now I can't believe anything.
No, you're a sellout.
Say
your definition of a sellout.
It's like you were in the. It's like, dude, you're only do shit for money. Don't act like you are someone who is moral.
Chris D'Elia's recent commentary about comedians performing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, including pointed remarks about former friend Whitney Cummings, has reignited debates about hypocrisy, morality, loyalty, and the role of money in entertainment. His critique and her subsequent defense form a mirror image of how morality is negotiated in modern comedy, where personal reputation, activism, and financial pragmatism collide. D'Elia's argument begins with something seemingly mundane: household rules about shoes on furniture. It becomes a metaphor for moral contamination and denial. Just as some people refuse to acknowledge that their shoes pick up filth, he suggests many in Hollywood refuse to admit when their actions contradict their supposed principles. The idea of cleanliness evolves into a broader question about integrity, whether one's moral persona aligns with one's actual choices. When applied to the Saudi controversy, D'Elia argues that accepting a large paycheck from a regime with a poor human rights record is only defensible for comedians who have never claimed to be moral activists.
First of all, there's a difference between being an outspoken comic about all the issues and all of the what do you call it? Being an advocate and ally and all that shit, and then taking money to go do that shit.
Agreed.
Then there is with, if Nate Bargatze went out there, which he didn't, but like, dude, the guy's not political at all. He's just like fucking talking about how his dog got out of his house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Those
so
people
like
have families
Sebastian, like all that stuff. That's different. So, but
Agreed.
so it's like if
But he's been going for years.
no, but what I'm saying, if you're like there's priorities. So my priority in my life is to make sure that only my family is good. Fuck.
Yep.
Noise,
Everything else.
fuck comedians, fuck issues. My issue is to make sure my family is nice.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't give a fuck about your politics. Everyone's treated me like trash. Fuck you. I don't care as long as my family's good. So yeah, I would. But if I'm out there saying, hey, the Me Too movement, hey, Black Lives Matter, hey, this is all important shit, we need free speech, and then you take the bag, you're a fucking asshole. It's different.
Agree. Also,
different.
me going down there is not going to change anything.
No, I know. That's a separate issue.
It's a comedy show. It's not going to change anything. But to your point, if you're rallying like the whole Me Too movement and women rights matters, and then you take the bag, oh, well, you don't stand for shit.
Yeah, no, it's just you. Now I can't believe anything.
No, you're a sellout.
Say
your definition of a sellout.
It's like you were in the. It's like, dude, you're only do shit for money. Don't act like you are someone who is moral. Don't do that.
Well, that's all performative.
Well, no. It is
performative.
To your point, Chris. Though it's like you're only doing things for traction and followers and to get views, or for money. You don't stand for anything.
He sees a double standard. Those who loudly champion causes like Me Too or free speech, yet later take money from Saudi Arabia, are sellouts. To him, this shows that their activism was performative, done for followers and attention, not conviction. For non-political comics, he grants more leeway. But for those who have built their brand around righteousness, he views it as proof of insincerity. He connects this to a broader sense of betrayal. After his own cancellation, he says friends distanced themselves for career reasons, but pretended it was moral outrage. He insists that if they had been honest about protecting their image, he would have understood. This experience hardened him, leading to his cynical belief that people rarely stand by their friends when reputations are at stake. That same cynicism feeds his defense of performing in Saudi Arabia. Everyone, he argues, is already complicit.
Whether you're going to Saudi Arabia for money or you're pretending you are an ally to save your money, it's the same fucking thing.
Agreed.
You know, so fuck you.
This is similar to why I don't go to funerals for people I don't really know.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing.
I don't
to
want
me, it's on the same vibe level of like, when people, someone and everybody's like, oh my God, this person was like, I was like, I don't know that motherfucker, and I'm not gonna pretend at some
like, dude, if
memorial that I don't know this person.
Also, I'm dead. I don't care if you don't come.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's like, dude, funerals are weird to me. Leave me where I am.
But this is like, I always just say, because look, when you're in that position that you've been in, it's like hard to not take everything personal.
Yeah. For a while,
and I get that.
Yeah.
But my position is, always, and this isn't what I'm not excusing it at all, but I'm just saying people make business decisions. And I wish people would just be honest about that. Just be honest about that.
Yeah.
Just be like, because I think that, and not to say that it's right, but I think if people would have came to you and been like, yo, man, I got to distance myself because of boom, boom, boom. I think if they would have done it like that, it'd be different.
It would have been way different.
And you would understand because of like, you know what I mean? But that still hurts too.
Yes and no.
But I think, I think that would have been better. I think that would have been better than just like, publicly bashing or acting funky. I mean, because that's what.
Just if you're a friend, be a friend. That's it. Just be loyal. These people, even the people that, like, when people, you see all this stuff happen in Hollywood, somebody goes through something, whether it's fucking accusations or whatever, and then everyone's like, well, I don't know. Yeah, you do. You know your friend. You know what they did. You know what they didn't do. Fuck you. Dude, don't be a fucking bitch about it. Don't be like, well, I wasn't in those rooms. Shut the fuck up.
Whitney Cummings, one of the comedians who performed in Riyadh, responds from nearly the opposite moral framework. On her podcast, she rejects accusations of hypocrisy or moral failure, framing the backlash as rooted in ignorance and even racism. She argues that critics who conflate Saudi citizens with the Saudi government display the same prejudice they claim to oppose. Americans who proudly declare, "Trump's not my president," refuse to extend that same courtesy to people in other nations. To her, performing in Saudi Arabia is not endorsing its regime. It's connecting with audiences who deserve laughter as much as anyone else. Cummings also dismantles the notion that accepting Saudi money is exceptional or corrupt. She claims that almost every major comedian has indirectly taken Saudi money through Live Nation, the entertainment giant partly financed by Saudi investments. By that logic, nearly everyone criticizing her is already complicit.
Wi-Fi password, then ask me anything.
What's my computer password? Is it capital R or the lowercase r?
Riyadh.
This is the second podcast where I did start talking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I can see the thing now. Whitney Cummings addresses the festival. You know what? I don't think I need to address it. You guys have it all figured out. I think you guys got it.
Yeah.
You guys, I guess I'm this weirdo. I don't operate under, the idea that every government and their people are the same. But I guess that's like, you think that the people of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi government all share. Okay, so you also believe that the Chinese government and the Chinese people are exactly the same. It's just racism. I think it took me a second, because when people are going like, oh, you're doing something unethical, I'm like, oh, these must be ethical people. Let me listen. And then you're like, oh no, you're just racist. But these are also, by the way, the same people that would go like, Trump's not my president. I'm nothing like our government. But other countries are. Just because you don't believe in comedy, it doesn't mean other people don't. People are like, oh, you sell out. I love when a Nepo baby tells comics who grew up poor that they're sellouts. People whose dads have points on huge television shows are like, I have a backup plan, a trust fund. You're a sellout for making money. Comics have been doing rants about it. By the way, any comic who has ever worked with Live Nation, which is all of them, has taken Saudi money. But keep with your little rants. A comic tried to imply that it was hypocritical that I went, because I did a special about sexual harassment and stuff like that. It was like kind of during the Me Too movement. And it's, it might be a compelling argument if it wasn't someone who was just bummed that they weren't invited, because He also believes he deserves 72 virgins. Maybe it's that.
She extends the argument to agents, actors, and even audiences, anyone who has attended a Live Nation show or worked with a large agency. To her, moral outrage is hypocritical because it ignores the pervasive reality of global finance. Her response also carries a class dimension. She calls it ironic that wealthy Nepo babies who inherited their connections call comics who grew up poor sellouts. In her view, she's being punished for trying to make a living in the same industry where others profit freely. She pushes back on the idea that a woman performing in a patriarchal country is endorsing oppression. On the contrary, she sees it as progress. A woman standing on stage before an audience that includes other women is, for her, a step forward. The moral contrast between D'Elia and Cummings reveals two competing philosophies. D'Elia prioritizes personal integrity, words and actions. Cummings focuses on systemic entanglement. Money, power, and hypocrisy already saturate the industry, so moral purity is an illusion. D'Elia's view is absolutist. If you build a public identity on moral virtue, you must live by it, or your message loses all credibility. Cummings' defense is relativist. The world runs on contradictions and people should stop pretending otherwise. He frames morality as a test of loyalty and honesty. She frames it as a test of empathy and awareness.
Look, I'm trying to help you sound less racist. Also, if you would like to, don't buy it. I don't want your blood money. I did write a chapter in my book about when I went to Dubai. You guys would know how to pronounce it. You tell me, how do you pronounce it? I'm so ignorant, I don't know. How do you go? Oh, here we go. I wrote a whole chapter about when I performed in the Middle East 10, 12 years ago. You guys were mad at me then, not sure why. But I explained how I went to the Middle East and learned how toxically ignorant I was about the Middle East, and how the biggest takeaway was how to separate the people that live in a country from the government.
Far be it from us to have a journalist murdered.
Also, the same people who are like, if they found out a Fox journalist was murdered, they would truly throw a party.
Both arguments have weight. D'Elia's insistence on consistency and accountability is appealing in an era when many public figures shift their values for convenience. Yet it risks collapsing nuance into cynicism, as if every choice were merely proof of betrayal or weakness. Cummings' focus on hypocrisy and systemic complicity exposes the blind spots of moral purity, but her sweeping claims about racism and universal corruption sometimes blur legitimate ethical concerns. Ultimately, their clash over Riyadh isn't just about a festival or a friendship, it's about two different moral economies. One believes that integrity survives only through self-denial and loyalty. The other, that progress requires engagement, even within flawed systems. Both expose how the modern entertainment world forces comedians to navigate an impossible terrain, where art, activism, and survival constantly undermine each other, and where every decision becomes a referendum on what one truly stands for.